We have an ominous warning coming from a top U.S. military commander that is warning that America's capabilities are sinking and sinking fast. They're saying that we might not be able to adequately prepare for a large-scale military engagement. And everything going on with the Ukraine, they cite, that's just the warm-up here, and it's showing that we're having difficulties just in a proxy war front. He goes on to make a statement saying that the big one is coming. It isn't going to be very long before we're going to get tested in ways that we have not been tested for a long time, if ever. This guy knows some things. What does he know to make this statement? Well, I can assure you that he knows some things that he's not saying because he's not allowed to. And he's just hinting here at what is coming in the offing. This massive event saying that our military has been degraded. It is sinking fundamentally. Our capabilities are getting slower and slower. We used to be able to move fast and respond fast. That's not happening. He says we're not matching what China is rolling out when it comes to technology, when it comes to the hypersonic missile that they rolled out, them and Russia. They say that we were caught flat-footed and that right now at this point, they could target any U.S. city from around the globe, from anywhere, perhaps without even being detected. Whether that's true or not, he's saying they are ahead in the hypersonic missile department and that they are forging ahead in other areas. I showed on the live stream. They just rolled out a bomber that had these missiles strapped to it. Then China just rolled out brand new stealth jets. I told you many times they are pushing the dragon to the forefront on this world stage as America comes down. There are books written on it, for crying out loud, by their Masons. Okay, this isn't a secret. And I know it sucks that the ship is sinking, but it's going down. And when you hear comments from a guy like this, a top commander out of the U.S. military, you gotta wonder, what does Charles Richard know? Again, he is the commander of U.S. Strategic Command. What does he know? What's weighing on the back of his mind? I'd keep an eye on individuals like this because if they up and they dip out at any given time, something's about to go down, in my opinion. I've been telling you for the longest time, this is just another warning. There is a freight train coming. You can't see it yet, but it's coming around the bend. You can see its light in the tunnel. You can hear it. You can hear it shaking the earth. Will people get ready for what's coming?
The U.S. intelligence knows that Russia and China plan on a nuclear first strike. This war would be preceded, in my opinion, by an EMP strike. They intend to decapitate the U.S. military. We're looking at a Mad Max scenario, a very bad situation. Store shelves are going to be empty. There's going to be no water. Russia is indeed testing the West to see if they will stop him from taking back the former Soviet states, starting with Ukraine. I'm 100% certain we'll see a nuclear war. 100%. There's no doubt in my mind.
And Israel is said to be standing away from America. Can't you see the picture that's being put together now? Saudi Arabia moving away from America. India moving away from American needs. Israel moving away militarily from America. And what they're doing right now is basically using us, using our defense budget, using us to purchase the weapons that they will turn and use against us in the future. We have seen this go back for decades. Historians have aligned with military strategists and ex-military leaders. They have all said the same thing, that when it's time for the American empire to fail, you're going to see one-time American allies turn against the country. Look at the Russian ambassador to Sweden. They have said that Sweden and Finland joining NATO makes both Sweden and Finland legitimate targets for retaliatory measures in this world war, including military-natured targets. The Kremlin has said that a hybrid war with the USA has been going a long time. He said, if we talk about the war in a broad sense, the confrontation with Western countries, a hybrid war, this has been going on for years. That's the spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov. What they mean by that is that this is a conflict that is going to last ages. They're getting ready in Europe right now for this Russian war to move beyond Ukraine. They're getting ready for Poland to be a part of it, for Belarus to be a part of it, for all of these other countries to start backing up Russia. And when that next phase starts, just like the people who said Russia will never go into another country, when that next phase starts, that's when things are going to get really hairy out there. China recently achieved a major milestone in the conduction of liquefied natural gas trade settlements in yuan. The world is changing right now. I want you to remember that in 2019, the BRICS nations said that they favored at that time a common payment system. And what we're seeing happen across the world right now is a fruition of something that has been brewing for years. They have been getting ready for the downfall of America for years. Israel says that an Iranian cell had a plan to attack Jewish targets across the world with bombs, gas, heavy weapons. They cited local sources and police operations. What they're doing is setting the groundwork right now so that Israel can militarily take on Iran with some sort of so-called justification. The U.S. Secretary of the Army has said that the USA is working to develop relationships with allies because, and listen to this is the U.S. Secretary to the Army. If we are going to war with China, we will not do it alone. Now, I want to ask you, how many other countries are willing to go to war with such a massive country and massive military as China? The U.S. Army, right now, the U.S. military, the U.S. Navy, we have had leaders stand up in each branch. They have all said that China's progression of their military is far beyond what America is willing to do. You see, when you have a country that is not afraid to fully fund at the behest of the leadership a military-industrial complex that will go in perpetuity, that means forever, as long as necessary. And then you have a country like America where they're worried about who's getting in and what's doing. What are we going to call those people who get in? That's where you have a failing empire. When you look at failing empires of our world's past, the leaders thought that they were on the leading edge every time. They thought this was the new great thing, and they all had very big social movements that they thought you just have to go in this direction. Instead, they failed. And look with Saudi Arabia and the Aramco decision to start new constructions of the petrochemical complex in China. Aramco is going to hold a 30% stake in Chinese oil. They're going to supply 210 billion barrels over time, 210,000 barrels per day. That's of crude just to that single complex. Look back at what's happening since March of 2020 and what we have seen since then. The largest pandemic event to happen in 100 years. $4 trillion in printed stimulus. Interest rates were lowered to 0%. Interest rates rose at their fastest pace in history. Inflation is at its highest in 40 plus years. We've been the closest we ever have been to a nuclear war. Oil prices have gone from negative to $100 almost immediately. We've seen record high gas prices. The crypto bear market absolutely devastated other parts of the economy. Record high credit card debt is leading Americans to live a life of servitude. We've had the most unaffordable housing market in history. We've seen the second and third largest bank collapse events in U.S. history. If you started investing back in the year 2020, you have seen more historic, life-changing events than many people have seen in their lifetimes. When you boil all of that down and what we're looking at now between Marburg and bird flu and all these other things happening, what's really going on is chaos, crisis, and volatility is becoming our new normal.
请习近平主席向普京总统颁授中华人民共和国友谊勋章。
Председатель Си Цзиньпин вручает президенту Путину орден дружбы Китайской Народной